Hey everyone, let's take a look at some world time perpetual calendar watches from Citizen. In case you're not familiar with Citizen's naming scheme, all of their models are two letters followed by four numbers. These watches that I'm holding are the BX 1010s, and these three watches here are three different colorways of the BX1000. And to my knowledge, these are the only BX watches that they make. Those two letters correspond. They say a little information about the watch, that they're Eco Drive, that they're the men's size. But if the two letters are the same, that means the movements are in the same family. And I think these watches have a really nice movement. As I said, they're world time watches with a perpetual calendar, and they're the only two watches that they make. As far as the BX1010 goes, you have this blue dialed variant on this tan leather with these rivets here. So definitely Flieger style, or more like Mark 11 style. You have the black dial version with the red second hand on black leather. Really cool. And this one was not available in the US. Actually, this wasn't available anywhere. There was a black dial version on bracelet available in Europe. I wound up getting another one of these blue dial, and I found that bracelet for it. And I happen to really love this. I really like a lot of Citizen pilot watches. They have a link that kind of looks like an aerofoil. Really, really like that. I'll get into what I like about the movement. I'll show it up close. But there's also this BX1000. I have three different colorways of that watch. I actually think I swapped the bracelet and the leather strap. So I think there's a blue dial. You see it looks like a globe on it. There's a little bit of reflectivity there. I think there's that on the leather. There's a black dial on bracelet. There might be a blue dial on bracelet too. There's like a dark red maroon dial. This is the gold cased version, black on black leather. I think there's a two-tone. There's at least three other colorways of that watch that I don't have. But all these have a similar movement despite the difference in size. Why don't we take the dimensions first so we know what we're dealing with here. This one is significantly smaller, only 10 millimeter thick watch, lug to lug of 49 millimeter, and the dial size of 41. Look get that on the wrist. That's a stamped or pressed clasp. Otherwise, though, very comfortable. I really like the size of this watch, the general style of it. I really like that globe background. I think it matches very well with the World Timer bezel. I'll show you how that looks. It's really cool the way that they made that work. That's an attractive size there. But this one's almost certainly a keeper for me, despite the coinage bezel that doesn't rotate. This one's significantly larger, but I think it fits given its Flieger-ness. That's a 44 millimeter watch. It is a little thicker at 12 millimeter. And the lug to lug at 50 millimeter. Now, I have a 7.5-inch wrist, but that doesn't... I wear watches of all different sizes. I wear watches kind of this big, 44, 45. I have some 36 millimeter watches that I've actually been enjoying wearing. But I think for this style of watch, that is perfectly fair. I really love the yellow second hand on that. The clasp on this watch is milled, unlike the stamped bracelet on there. You have this safe double pusher here. All right, let's get this out of the way and show you a little bit about this movement. Firstly, it's Eco Drive, as Citizen, most of their watches are. That's what they do really well. Light powered. I won't go too deep into what that means, but a watch like this, as long as you wear it every day and you don't tuck it away in darkness, they just last. They'll last 10, 15, 20 years without needing a battery replacement. They do use batteries, just rechargeable batteries. So if I pull this watch out one position, we get into this time zone setting mode. So you see I'm in the same time zone as New York. That's the eastern coast of the US. And I can rotate this. Oh yeah, the second hand only goes this way. So if you want to go back a time zone, you do have to go all the way around. But I can go there and then wait, and you see you have fully motorized independent hand control there, and it sets the time. So if you're traveling around the world, a single click, move it around, snap it back, behind the scenes, it doesn't lose any time. So it looked like I hacked the second, but I didn't. That second hand was still going. Let's zoom in a little further here. So I just moved it to, so all these cities on the bezel, they are representational cities. If you've ever seen a watch with a world time bezel, they're very inaccurate because time zones all around the world are always changing, and different countries have different daylight savings or summertime. That's not an issue on this watch. It doesn't have continuous readout of those. It's more so an easy way for you to move forward. So, hey, I go to Paris, I go there, snap it, and it resumed the time. You didn't see the second hand move that much because it just, by chance, that's exactly what the time was. But it didn't lose any time in so doing that. That's going to spin around for a while, what, 5-6 hours ahead. So that might be spinning for some time. But there we go. I just switched it to Paris without losing a second on here. I didn't have to hack the watch. Yeah, see, it zoomed back to Paris. I'll click, click, click. I'm gonna go back to Eastern. I'll just stop it right there. And you see the second hand kind of spun around quickly to catch up with the real time. And now that minute and hour are going to keep on going. So it doesn't read out multiple time zones at any one time, but if you're traveling around, it is super easy to adjust the time and without hacking. The other nice benefit of this watch, really hard to do in a mechanical watch, really easy to do in a quartz watch, is that this has a perpetual calendar. There's also this little pusher here. You don't use that very often, but some combination of when you pull this out all the way and using that, you can set not just the date, but the month. And you also said if it's been 1, 2, 3, or 4 years since a leap year. So it will keep the date correct for you. It knows when a month has 30 or 31 days, or February with 28 days. It even knows on a leap year that February has 29 days. So that's going to stay accurate. Really, really cool. And the blue on this just sparkles. In direct sunlight, it just looks really, really wonderful. I'm not too sure how that comes off here, but I think they did a good job. You have this sunburst. You're seeing it a bit there. You see this like two tones, this nice, really, this dark, rich blue and this nice cyan, light blue. Really, really cool watch here. I haven't pulled it out all the way. If I pull it out 2 clicks, it does hack the watch, but it doesn't hack it wherever the second is. That second hand always points straight up. So it's easier to set. If you pull it out all the way, and you see I can kind of make little clicks and make little adjustments, set the time, and wait until, use a reference time somewhere, an atomic clock or time.gov, and wait until time is here, and then click. And then we are lined up. It's a quartz watch, so it's pretty accurate. I haven't measured its accuracy, but Citizen tends to be pretty good. And that second hand, I think, lines up pretty well. On these watches that are more advanced, I think there's an alignment feature that you could get into, and you can kind of align that second hand, make sure it hits. So we got the dimensions on this. Let's put this back on the wrist so we could see it again. And then maybe turn off the lights and see what the lume looks like. I think that's just a very handsome and very fun watch. Same movement is on these guys. So if this watch is too big, you have all the same functionality here. This dial, the only way you'll see it is if you have to see my little ring light there. You can see that that globe pattern has some reflectivity. I don't know if I zoomed in on it, but you have these nice polished indices and everything. Oh, this crystal is sapphire on the BX1000s, but it doesn't have AR. And in case you're not aware, sapphire is very reflective. So sapphire crystals without AR tend to have a lot of glare, and you're seeing that here. I don't know off the top of my head what type of crystal that has. That's like one downside to this watch, honestly. But it's just so convenient. Man, perpetual calendars, if you've never had one, it's just so nice knowing that you're going to pick up your watch and the date's going to be accurate. I don't know when I set these last, but that's still 25. I may not have set all of these, but they all say the correct date, the 12th. Yeah. So, how do we end this out? Yeah, let's turn off the lights, get some lume, and what else do you want to know, you know? Alrighty. Let's try to get these all in here. Group photo. That's good enough. Actually, it isn't. You see there's lume on the main markers and on the hours on this. There's plenty of lume on the Flieger styled watch. On the non-Flieger, these are just, what would you call these? Sports watches. You know, maybe with the ones with the leather, they're kind of dressy. You have these small little pips of lume and the nice Citizen blue lume here. I'll say adequate for the type of watch that it is. You know, you have more room to have a nice, large, polished index. Plenty fine, but this guy right here, that's a lot. You know, compared to micro brands or the Chinese watches that just layer on the lume, Seiko, Citizen, they're good, they're decent. And what I like about Citizen, their proprietary blue lume. I tend to like the way it looks. Well, hopefully you find one of these watches, and remember there's more colorways than I have of this. Hopefully you'll find one of these interesting and attractive, and you go and you take a look at them. Yep. And as I said, this watch has more glare than this. I'm going to think this is sapphire, no AR. I think this is just mineral glass, which is a pity because everything else about this watch is so nice. Hopefully there's a BX1020. You know, they keep on iterating on this movement because I think it is a good blend of functionality and ease of use. Cool. Hopefully you learned something and you take a closer look at these. Oh, last thing, price. Sorry, I have no memory of what I paid for these. I think a couple hundred. I think MSRP is probably way more than that. Yeah, I want to say I spent like $200, $250 for each of these watches, which is kind of ridiculous that I would do that. But I think only this one's the keeper. All right, thank you very much.